Hey everybody, it's Carson here, and in this video, I'm going to be doing a speed build for a farm and 2 farmhouses. I was so extremely excited for this build, both because I've been wanting to do it for a while, and because I started off the beautiful season of spring with this build. By the way, real quick before we begin the speed build, credits to Stream Cafe for making us background music. They are a channel who creates beautiful background music for free, and the music in this video is no exception. I'll also credit them in the description. Anyways, without further ado, let's hop right into the video. The first thing I did for the speed build was build a cliff behind the spots where I wanted to put the houses. I wanted to do this part first in case I would decide that I didn't like where I had the houses planned out. I ended up thinking it was fine though, so those dimensions are where I placed the houses in the end. I had a hard time shaping the cliff, and in the end, I still wasn't a huge fan of it. But I think the houses in front of it covered the weird shape, so it looks better that way. On the cliff, I first put silos there, but I replaced them with different items later. It's not that I didn't like them there was just this type of item that I thought would look a little bit better. Before decorating the cliff any further, I made the layout of the fields. I'm not entirely sure why I did it in this order, but it may have been because I just couldn't wait. Anyways, the crop field was inspired by myself from over 2 years ago. I did a similar layout to this on my cottagecore island, and on that island, I'm pretty sure I was inspired by the Minecraft crop farms. I also did a similar layout to this when I made a pumpkin patch back in October on this island, but I removed it in November. But I still really wanted to do a similar layout, so yeah, that's what I did. Then I placed down Maggie's house, which is one of the farmhouses. After placing down her house, I decided to extend the field by 1 tile. Then I was done building for the day because I don't time travel on this island. Then the next day, I added a wheat field item right in front of the cliff to add some detail. Then I went back on that cliff and replaced the silos with windmills. No worries though, I decided to add a silo beside the cliff later. I noticed that I couldn't put one of the windmills exactly where I wanted to, so I adjusted the cliff a little bit. Here is where I added the silo, and behind the silo I decided to add a couple of wheat field items. Then I went back on the cliff to add some more details such as some wheat fields, some weeds, and some custom designs. I didn't have a whole lot of ideas for the cliff, but you can never really go wrong with those 3 things. Also, I wanted to add a lot of wheat fields, especially in this area of the island because it's a farm. Pretty self-explanatory, I feel like. I also decided to place down a wheat field in front of the cliff again because when I adjusted it, I had to remove the wheat field. Then I decorated the cliff a little bit more. After decorating the cliff, I decided to place down Colton's house. His house was supposed to be the other farmhouse. Then right after that, I decided to remodel the houses. I did Maggie's house first because I had a lot more ideas for Maggie's house than Colton's house. I once again did a window illusion with customized glow-in-the-dark stickers. I had the full back wall covered at first, but then I remembered that there was a specific type of layout I wanted to use for a home. And then on the other side of the back wall, I customized it to... I don't even know what it is, it's just a random custom design that I thought would suit the wall. Anyways, back to the layout. I wanted to do this layout because 1, I just thought it was really cute, and 2, I typically have such a hard time figuring out how to put a whole bunch of rooms in those small houses, so I just thought that was super duper helpful. This layout was inspired by Little Branches Crossing. Anyway, so I made the right room a bathroom, and I put a little Cosmo shower in there because I thought it would be pretty cute for the vibes that Maggie has. Also, in her HHP home request, it's like Garden of Regeneration. I actually did a video about it, but yeah, I just thought that would be really cute. Anyways, the left room is like a little kitchen. I did want to add more items to each of the rooms, but I couldn't because of how small the house is. But I think I managed to make it look okay. Since I couldn't fit a table and chairs in the kitchen, I just decided to add a little dining area outside of the kitchen. I added veggie cupcakes to the table and was imagining them to be made from the same crops outside. But spoiler alert, I did move the dining area somewhere else later. Anyways, the front rooms at first were a bedroom and a living room. I think the front rooms are what took me the longest to decorate. I added a puppy plushie there because 1, it's really cute, and 2, this was in her original home because I gave it to her for Toy Day. I tried to give her home similar vibes to her original version of her home. I tend to do that with villager home remodels. I had such a hard time finding where I should put the puppy plushie, but I figured it out eventually, so that's good. Even though I was so conflicted on where to put it, I did not want to remove it. I wanted to keep it in her house. I was determined. Remember when I said that I moved the dining area to somewhere else? Well, I decided to add it to where I had the living room planned, and I put a TV in front of it so it could kind of be like a mix of a dining room and a living room. I decided to add Nordic shelves in front of the horizontal partition wall. I think it's such a cute item and it gives you the opportunity to add 2 other small items on there. I thought this would be good to add some detail and to play some music. I think it also matched the farmhouse vibe that I was going for. I really liked the rug I added, but I didn't notice until after I was done decorating that it wasn't centered. I may have to fix that later. At this point of the video, I finally found a good spot for the puppy plushie. I kept it at that spot. I couldn't not add lights, so I decided to add lights. At this point, I finally remembered to add items to the wall. I forgot to earlier. Besides the glowing moss stickers and the TV. Anyways, I added a lot of plants because I know Maggie likes plants. I mean, her request for her HHP home suggests she loves plants, so yeah. Also, I added some other stuff like a towel wrap and stuff like that. One of the last things I did was add some small items to the mini kitchen. I thought they would add some more detail and give a more lived-in vibe. I finished off her house interior by adding some more items to her walls. Then I was finally done Maggie's house interior. Here's how it turned out. Then it was time to work on our house's exterior. This didn't take a very long time and I don't have a whole lot to say about it, but I tried to make it similar to how our house exterior was originally, but with colors that I thought would suit the build a little bit more. I also added a green mum wreath on the door because it's cute and natural. That's pretty much it. Then it was time to remodel Colton's house. His house was so tricky because, again, I like to keep the original vibes of their homes, but it was really hard to do it while also trying to make it like a farmhouse. And I don't really like how it turned out. For Colton's house, I did a very similar layout to Maggie's house, but I made the back left room smaller than the back right room. I also gave the right room a window illusion that time, and gave the left room more customized glow-in-the-dark stickers, but this time, they're marble. I did have a really hard time finding the wallpaper and flooring for his house though. This time, the back right room was meant to be a kitchen, and the left room was meant to be a bathroom. Well, that was the plan at first, but I changed my mind a tiny bit later, not that much later, but yeah. I really gotta hurry finishing this video because it's already March 16th and I'm trying to post this before April 1st because I'm trying to post 2 long-form videos each month at least. I'm rushing. I'm trying to rush myself. Okay, hopefully I'll post this pretty soon. I actually turned the kitchen into the bedroom and brought the kitchen to the front of the house. There's an activity I did recently that I really want to talk to you about, but I just want to wait for the right time because I still want to do some voiceovers about the speed build first. I also decided to put the dining room or dining area at the front of the house that time, and the living room in the same spot. Well, the same spot that I had in Maggie's house originally. Does that make sense? Also, just like in Maggie's house, I added a veggie basket because I thought that would be really appropriate for a farmhouse that is right by a crop field. I wanted it to seem as though the crops were from the crop field. I made the dining area and the kitchen swap spots. I just thought it would look better that way, and I think it does. I added the same rug to Colton's house, and I kind of forgot I added it to Maggie's house already, but I just think it's such a cute rug. I think it's my favorite rug in the game, but this time I actually did center it properly. So that's good. I'm doing a thumbs up, but you can't see it. Anyways, the reason why this was so hard is because I wanted it to make it kind of fancy, like Colton's vibes, but also I wanted to make it like a farmhouse, because it's a farmhouse. But how the heck do I make a fancy farmhouse? It was so tricky. The last thing I decided to do in his house, for the time being, is add some wall items. Then it was time to customize the exterior. Just like I did for Maggie's house, I tried to make his house exterior similar to how his house originally was, but also matching the farm. I also added a Cosmos wreath to his house. Then I was done his house. Oh, wait, no. I decided to remodel it a little bit after that. This was actually after I was done everything else, but it was just bothering me so much that I just had to come back to it. But even looking back, the house isn't as bad as I remember it. So I don't know. I feel like I ruined it with this second remodel. So I don't know, I might have to change it again. Goodness gracious, Carson. I facepalmed while recording that voiceover, by the way. It's hard to facepalm with glasses though, so I kind of just had to scoop my hand around my glasses. Anyways, sorry, oh my gosh. So basically, I just tried to change the color of some things and replace some items. Again, I feel like I kind of ruined it, but I feel like it does look a bit more like a farmhouse now, but I feel like I made it look worse. I can always change it again though. Anyways, here's how it turned out. After I remodeled Colton's house for the first time, I started to work on the farm again. Beside Maggie's house, I tried to make a mini pig pen, but there were a couple complications. The first complication was that I had a hard time putting the storefronts where I wanted to put them. I literally had to break some of the clips so I could push them back a bit more. It looked kind of silly, but once I put the storefront there, it looked fine. But it does look a little bit silly on my map, which is fine, really. Anyways, I also had to fix the path behind the storefronts. Then I placed down the first piggy bank. It was lonely, but I added a couple more later. And then I worked on the horse stable, and the horse was also lonely, but I added another horse later. Anyways, I decorated the cliff again, as I had to adjust some things. Then it was finally time for the most important part. The crops! Of course! But it did take me a while to do it because I kept messing around with things. Anyways, the first thing I decided to do was do a rainbow crop field. Like I organized it by colors of the rainbow. But I didn't keep it like that because I just thought it looked a little too weird. I'm speeding this part up a bit more than the rest of the exterior build. Here is when I decided to be a normal person and organize it by crops instead of color. Anyways, now might be the perfect time to talk about what I wanted to talk about earlier. The thing I wanted to talk about is a recent adventure I went on with some family members. Whoa, it sounds cool when I say it like that. Anyways. So basically, the other day I went to Toronto with my mom, one of my sisters, and my nephew. Too bad we couldn't take my chihuahua with us. I'm kidding, by the way. Anyways, when we got to Toronto, the first place we went to was Ripley's Aquarium. Here are the highlights of the aquarium tour. We saw lots of sea creatures, obviously, and I love them all. Some types of sea creatures we saw were starfish, seahorses, jellyfish, stingrays, and even sharks. All these guys were so cute and so cool. There was also a specific section dedicated to reptiles, and they were all so cute. There were also axolotls there. I absolutely love axolotls. They are so cute and so cool. I think they were the only amphibians that I saw though. So, no frogs. None of my own species. How sad. Sorry. One of the last things we did was pet stingrays. If you haven't heard much about Ripley's Aquarium, that is something everyone can do at the end of that tour. I already knew what stingrays felt like because I went to Ripley's Aquarium a few times and pet them, but it was so cool to feel them again. They are slimy, but they feel so cool. Anyways, the very last thing we did at the aquarium was visit a souvenir shop. I bought a bracelet that tracks a penguin. My penguin is so cute. The bracelet is also so pretty. Oh, by the way, we were rushing through it because my nephew was super fast there. It's okay though. My mom and I were also behind my sister and my nephew because we were looking at the animals for a bit longer than they were. Actually, they were already at the CN Tower when we were still at the aquarium, which leads us to the next thing to talk about. The next thing we did was visit the CN Tower. I have been to the bottom of it before but never went up it. It was so darn cool. I wouldn't have been able to do that when I was a child, and little me wouldn't believe that I went up there. We actually could have gone up 33 stories higher, but we didn't. The views were so pretty and so cool. My favorite part, though, was looking at the water from how high we were. We also had lunch there. I don't usually eat lunch, so it was pretty different for me. I had a veggie burger and fries there. I didn't really like the veggie burger there, but I was glad that there were vegetarian options. If you didn't know, I'm vegetarian. A vegetarian frog? How does that work? Anyways, after lunch, we looked at some more views from the CN Tower. It went by very quickly. We went home pretty early because my nephew wanted to go. To sum up this adventure, I'd say it was overstimulating but cute and cool at the same time. That is such a strange combination. Anyways, over here I was working on the pig pen again, and I was having such a hard time with the fencing. Bear with me, please. took an embarrassingly long amount of time, so I'm gonna speed this part up more too. Oh, I placed down some more pigs here. And I still need to place one more down. I didn't do that at this point yet. After all that struggling, I finally placed down the final pig. I also placed down the final horse. I added a Turkey Day decoration onto the barrel because I thought that suited the farm vibes. I also had customized it to the spring version of it to match the current time of year in the Northern Hemisphere. In front of the barrel, I added an oinkoid on top of a cardboard box. I wanted to do a wooden box, but I don't have the recipe for that yet, and I tried to do a trade on Nokazam, but the seller was unresponsive, so I think I'm gonna have to make another offer at some point. I then added some more detail because I'm insane and want to take forever whenever I make builds. And this is my longest speed build so far. Well, my longest island speed build, and yeah, it's crazy. I really hope you don't mind how long this has been though. I'm sorry if you do mind. Anyways, I'm gonna try to talk about some other stuff while we wait for this to be done, because I'm just gonna repeat the same thing over and over again. Adding some detail, doing this, doing that, blah blah blah, when it's nothing really that important right now. So I am going to be talking about a challenge that I've been seeing people do, and I really want to do it too once the Switch 2 is out. So basically, I've recently seen a lot of people do a challenge where they create an island in 30 days using only one color. I seriously want to do this too. I was thinking about creating a frog island once I got the Switch 2, but I'm thinking of doing that after I do that challenge. If I do happen to do it, of course. I think I do it on stream though, because I'd love to get your advice. The reason why I want to do it on a Switch 2 is because the island I make videos on is my Forever Islands, and my only other Switch is a Switch Lite. I want to wait until the Switch 2 is out to get another console. Speaking of the Switch 2, I did really want to make a video about the next Animal Crossing game by the time the Switch 2 Direct comes out. However, I don't think I'll be able to now because it's coming up soon, but I am hoping that I'll post that video pretty soon still. I'm hoping. But how about while I have some time, maybe I can talk about some of it in this video. First, I'm going to be talking about the setting of the next game. Personally, I think it'd be great if we had an option to choose what kind of land we want. For example, a town, island, forest, etc. Or maybe we could even have multiple different types of land and maybe even have the ability to use Dodo Airlines or Captain to get to each one. Like one town, one island, one forest, etc. I feel like this is unlikely though, but it is fun to imagine. I also really hope we'll get some more story in the next game. Like for example, the land, the NPCs, and maybe even the characters we play as. Next up, villagers. I think we can all agree that the next game needs to have less repetitive dialogue and for villagers to feel more lively. I, too, would also appreciate it if there was more dialogue. The last thing I'm going to mention in this video is minigames. So in New Leaf, there is a whole bunch of minigames that you play on Tortimer's Island. There's also hide and seek that you play on your own island, or town, sorry, and it was a lot of fun. Anyways, back to the builds. A couple days later, I planted flowers matching the ones on the cliff beside it. The build beside it is actually an orchard, and I did a speed build of it back in October. The reason why I had those colors was because when I made the orchard, I wanted the fruit trees and flower colors to match. I thought it was fine to add to this cliff anyways because the flowers and crops give this build a pop of color. I customized the silo to a dark brown and a dark green. I thought that would suit this farm a bit more. I decided to move the windmills a tiny bit because I wanted them right behind the doors. Because of this, I had to re-add some items again. The reason why I picked up the storefronts here is because I wanted to customize them, or get them customized by Cyrus, and I added some weeds behind the cliff to add some detail again. I got Cyrus to customize the storefronts to light brown for me because I just thought that would suit the farm a bit more, and I think it does. Anyway, so I decided to fix a couple of areas and place the storefronts back down. Yep, here I am again, adding some more random detail. I changed the fencing in front of the pig pen to the country fencing. I'm so glad I changed it. It looks so much better in my opinion. I just think it looks better with this farm. I adjusted the second tier cliff so I could place fencing at the front. I also just thought it looked kind of strange like that. I then placed down more country fencing, a custom design, and a bush. Then I was finally done. Here is how everything turned out. So that's pretty much it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all so much, and happy spring in the northern hemisphere, happy fall in the southern hemisphere. Okay, goodbye!